Peter Obi got 6.1 million votes in 2023, came third, and yet right now in April 2026, the presidency, INEC, and the courts are all moving at the same time to make sure he never gets on the ballot in 2027. Think about that. Not blocking him after he wins, before he even gets to compete. Everyone is talking about whether Tinubu will win 2027, but nobody is asking the more important question. What happens if the opposition is engineered out of the race before election day even arrives? Because if what Peter Obi's camp is alleging is even half true, Nigeria is not looking at an election, it's looking at a coronation. Stay with me, because this one gets deep. Before we go deeper, if you're just finding Naijanewsfeed, welcome. This channel exists to break down what's actually happening in Nigerian politics. No spin, no ethnic agenda, no propaganda. Just facts, context, and analysis. Subscribe right now, and I mean that sincerely, because the only way this channel grows, the only way I can keep doing this work at this level is if you subscribe. That button costs you nothing. It means everything to this channel. Hit it and stay with me, because this one gets very interesting. So let's start from the beginning, because this story has been building for over 2 years. After the 2023 election, Peter Obi stayed in the Labour Party. He came third, 6.1 million votes, a strong showing for a party with almost no structure. But instead of using that momentum to build, the Labour Party descended into chaos. 2 factions, 2 chairmen, Julius Abure on one side, the Supreme Court ruling on the other. And Obi's camp says that chaos was not accidental. His media office alleged that the plan to frustrate him started right after the 2023 election, describing a scheme that deliberately injected crises into the Labour Party to prevent him from securing a foothold. By December 31, 2025, Obi had had enough. He exited Labour Party and joined the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. Then something interesting happened almost immediately. On January 7, 2026, the courts that had previously ignored the Supreme Court's ruling suddenly took action, dismissing the Julius Abure faction's claims. His camp says that timing was not a coincidence. The moment he left, the courts acted. Then, in March 2026, Obi visited Kwankwaso in Kano, the man who controls one of the most loyal political armies in northern Nigeria. On March 30, 2026, the ADC held a massive rally in Kano, where Kwankwaso officially joined the party. That rally, according to Obi's camp, was the tipping point. Within days, INEC moved. Now, here's what you need to understand. INEC didn't ban Obi, they didn't disqualify him. What they did was arguably smarter and harder to fight. They targeted the party, not the man. Let me explain the mechanics here, because this is where it gets technical, but I'll keep it plain. INEC's role under the Nigerian constitution is straightforward. It is the independent body responsible for organizing free and fair elections, registering political parties, and ensuring every registered party can compete. That's the law. Now, the ADC has an internal leadership dispute, 2 factions claiming to be the legitimate executive of the party. INEC's response? The Commission announced it would no longer receive any correspondence from the ADC, pending the determination of the dispute before a federal high court. On the surface, that sounds procedural, but here's the problem. The Electoral Act of 2026 imposes specific timelines on political parties, including a mandatory 21-day notice period and subsequent submission requirements for critical electoral processes. If INEC won't accept your paperwork, you cannot meet those deadlines. And if you miss those deadlines, you cannot field candidates. That is the landmine. And then there's the Electoral Act amendment itself. Obi's camp alleges that the ruling party pursued bizarre legislative changes that culminated in a damaging amendment to the Electoral Act, explicitly designed to pressure the ADC. And the ADC went further, pointing out an even more damaging contradiction. The same commission that previously monitored, documented, and Now, this is where Naijanewsfeed earns its keep. Let's talk about power. Who benefits if Peter Obi is off the 2027 ballot? The answer is obvious, the incumbent. But let's not be lazy about it. Let's trace the strategy. In 2023, Tinubu won with approximately 8.79 million votes in an election with very low turnout and significant fragmentation of the opposition. Obi pulled 6.1 million. Atiku pulled around 6.9 million. If those two voting blocs, Southeast, Youth, Educated Urban Voters, and Kwankwaso's northern base ever converge on one platform, the mathematics for Tinubu get very uncomfortable. ADC chieftain Dele Momodu said the APC miscalculated. They never thought Atiku, Obi, and Kwankwaso could work together. AllAfrica.com. But the Kano rally on March 30th proved they were wrong, and that's when everything accelerated. Now let's map the moves. Move 1. Labour Party destabilization 2023 to 2025. The Peter Obi Media Office alleged that the plan began after the 2023 election and was in motion from that point, deliberately injecting crises into Labour Party to prevent Obi from securing a foothold. Move 2. The ADC trap. Obi exits Labour Party, joins ADC. Immediately, an internal leadership dispute within ADC, which existed before Obi arrived, gets escalated through the courts. INEC picks a side, or more accurately, INEC picks no side publicly but halts all correspondence, which functionally benefits whoever wants the ADC paralyzed. Move 3. Electoral Act amendment. The Obidient movement alleged that after Obi aligned with the ADC, the ruling party escalated its sabotage by pursuing legislative changes that led to a damaging amendment to the Electoral Act, explicitly designed to pressure the ADC. Move 4. The Kano trigger. Kwankwaso joins ADC. A massive northern base now backs the same platform as Obi. Tensions escalated, and in what the Obidient movement described as a desperate move, the government manipulated INEC to reinterpret an appeal court ruling, leading to the delisting of the ADC's leadership. Who are the silent players? Watch the National Assembly. Any Electoral Act amendment requires legislators. Which senators and reps voted for those changes? That's a thread worth pulling. Watch also the judiciary, specifically which courts are accelerating ADC-related cases and which are going slow. Obi's camp pointed out the sudden speed of court action the moment he left Labour Party. And watch INEC's chairman. In a democracy, an electoral commission that won't accept correspondence from a registered party while that party faces active electoral deadlines has some serious questions to answer publicly. Now, there's one angle to this story that almost nobody is talking about, and it has to do with what happens if Obi doesn't find a platform at all. I'll come back to that, and trust me, the implications are bigger than you think. Let me stop here and say something clearly. Allegations are not convictions. Obi's camp is making these claims. The presidency denies all of it. So our job is not to pick a side. Our job is to follow the timeline and ask, does the sequence of events match any of these explanations? Now, let's look at the other side of the argument, because fairness demands it. The presidency, through Special Advisor Bayo Unanuda, described Obi's attacks as baseless, maintaining that the ADC turmoil is entirely self-inflicted. The statement argued that after using the Labour Party to contest the presidency, Obi abandoned it in what it called a classic use and dump situation, and that Obi should resolve his own internal party issues before contesting. The APC spokesman on this matter said, "How can Obi and his people accuse the APC of denying access to the ballot? Is he a member of the APC? They blame APC for every problem they have." That's the official position, and it raises a legitimate point. Obi has had internal problems in 2 consecutive parties now. At what point is that pattern a management failure rather than external sabotage? The counter to that, the timing. Both crises in Labour Party and in ADC appear to intensify precisely when Obi was gaining political momentum. That pattern is worth examining. Now, if what I just laid out surprises you, drop a comment below before we continue. I want to know your take. Are these legitimate allegations of democratic sabotage, or is Peter Obi a politician who can't hold a party together? Tell me in the comments. And if this breakdown is giving you clarity, do me one favor. Subscribe to Naijanewsfeed. I don't run ads. I don't take sponsorships from political camps. The only thing that keeps this channel going and keeps this analysis independent is you. Your subscription, your share, your engagement. It literally takes 2 seconds. Hit subscribe. It's the only way you help me do better. Let's zoom out, because this is bigger than Peter Obi. If the allegations are true that an incumbent government can use the Electoral Act, the courts, and INEC to systematically eliminate opposition candidates before Election Day, then Nigeria doesn't have a democracy problem in 2027. It has a structural democracy problem going forward. The Peter Obi Media Office framed it this way. The plan is designed to create an illusion of democratic choice by propping up surrogates in various political parties while scheming for a one-party system in a nation of over 200 million people. Think about what that means for ordinary Nigerians. If you don't have a genuine choice at the ballot box, you have a performance of democracy, not democracy itself. On the economic side, political uncertainty ahead of 2027 will affect investor confidence. Foreign direct investment decisions are already being made with one eye on Nigerian political stability. A contested or compromised election cycle raises the risk premium on Nigeria significantly. On the regional dimension, Peter Obi is eagle. His candidacy represents for many in the southeast one of the few credible bids for federal executive power from that region in a generation. If he is systematically blocked, the political alienation many in the southeast already feel could deepen. That has implications, not just for politics, but for security and national cohesion. And on the northern side, Kwankwaso's base joining ADC was a significant political realignment. Any move that undermines ADC also upsets hundreds of thousands of Kwankwasia loyalists in Kano and across the northwest. Political exclusion in that region has historically not stayed quiet. Here's the irony nobody is saying out loud. By allegedly trying to stop Peter Obi, the APC may have accidentally turned him into a martyr, and martyrs in Nigerian politics tend to get more votes, not fewer. There is a genuine international dimension here, and it's worth spending 2 minutes on it. The Peter Obi Media Office specifically addressed its statement to both Nigerians and the international community, alerting them to what it described as an orchestrated maneuver to disenfranchise Obi and pave the way for a one-time candidacy. That language, international community, is deliberate. It's an appeal to external observers, the US, the UK, the EU, and multilateral bodies like ECOWAS and the African Union, all of whom monitor Nigerian elections and issue statements that carry real diplomatic weight.
Let me address 3 things people are getting wrong about this story. Misconception number 1. This is just Obi crying because he is losing. That's too simple. you can simultaneously believe that Obi has made poor political decisions, party hopping, failing to build structures, and that institutional forces are working against him. Both things can be true. Weak management of your own political house does not automatically mean your enemies aren't also attacking that house. Misconception number 2. INEC is just following court orders. ADC pointed out that INEC itself previously monitored, documented, and recognized the very leadership it is now refusing to correspond with, and even swore an affidavit confirming that leadership. An institution cannot use a court order to justify contradicting its own sworn affidavit without serious questions being asked. Misconception number 3. Tinubu has too much to worry about to be plotting against Obi. Even a former special advisor to President Tinubu acknowledged on Channels Television that elections in Nigeria are not rigged from Abuja. They are won or lost at polling units and collation points through money and local mobilization. What that tells you is that the real battleground in 2027 is not rallies, it's structure. And blocking an opponent's party from being registered in time is a structural move, not a rally move. The strongest argument the government has is that Obi's problems are self-inflicted. The presidency stated that political dynamics ahead of 2027 will differ significantly from 2023, with Tinubu as an incumbent with achievements to demonstrate. That's a legitimate argument. Where it falls apart is when you match it against the specific timeline of events. Courts moving the moment Obi leaves, INEC acting the moment ADC grows.